Welcome to AstroEnergy with astrologer angel Shelley Overton. Hello, welcome to July 1st, 2015 and AstroEnergy. My name is Shelley Overton and I'm happy that you're here. I hope you are staying cool, as right now I am not. It is really warm in Orlando, and it's right now 91, which actually is a bit of a break. It's been up to 98 today, and we got a little bit of a rain coming through here, and so it's better. But I'm looking around at all the different temperatures for the country and even the world, and it is nighttime in Paris, and it is 88 degrees. Down from an earlier 101 degrees this afternoon, if you can believe it. So you know it's hot if Paris is 101. They are roughly at the same latitude as Seattle and New York, going around the world. So yeah, it's hot. 87 in Denver. Seattle is 82 with a high of 84. And it's going to be 90 tomorrow. So 92 this weekend. Oh, yay. So anyway, lots of heat, and not surprising because we have all of this energy from fire signs, Jupiter and Leo. That's what you get. And also we have Mars is going to be going into Leo as well in August. So it's going to be a hot August, just like Neil Diamond says, hot August night. So for part of September, too, a good portion of September into about the 26th. So, yeah, look for a lot of heat. And then Saturn goes back into Sagittarius right as Mars goes into Virgo. So that might be a little break, but I do expect that Saturn and Sagittarius will give us a rather warm winter. But I can't say exactly for sure until I've done a chart to see what the winter looks like. But anyway, yeah, it's been an interesting week, hasn't it? We have so much going on this week, and I don't even know where to begin. I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff for the show. I didn't even get to what aspects we're coming up on, but I do have what aspects we've had. And overnight, I believe it was the 30th, we had actually this morning, maybe it was this morning at 3, I post this stuff and then I kind of let it go. So pardon me if I'm not exact on some of my information, but I'm trying. I've got, right here, I've got 21 degrees. I think it was 3:15 a.m. Eastern time. Let me look at what this time is. Yeah, this morning we had an exact conjunction of Venus to Jupiter. So that means that the two act as the same energy. They are magnifying each other. So Venus is desire and Jupiter is expansion. So that's in a nutshell, of course. But so there's an expansion of energy of love, believe it or not, that and it isn't even necessarily love. It can be love, but it's also children and drama and also relationships and emphasis on the relate part of it, because what Leo wants to do is relate. It wants to find connection between others. And so that's a really strong energy. And then yesterday, that was the conjunction this morning. Yesterday, about 12:30 Eastern time, there was a grand trine with the moon in Sagittarius at 20 degrees, Uranus at 20 Aries, and then Venus, Jupiter at 21. So it wasn't exact, which was just a little earlier, but at 12:38, which is the time I have for this chart, it was pretty darn close to exact. And then at the same time we had Mercury at 17 opposing the moon, 17 Gemini. So what it looks like, and I posted this on my Facebook fan page, is a giant triangle with Mercury in the middle bottom of it, pointing straight up at the moon, creating like a giant arrow. So you know there's some power going on there. And then, of course, we have Uranus sextiling Mercury, which is sextiling Venus-Jupiter conjunction. And we had we already had, but it's still fairly close, within 4 degrees, a conjunction between the Sun and Mars in Cancer. So, you know, there's a lot going on with home, family, mother issues. And interestingly, the the Sun-Mars conjunction is opposing Pluto at 14. So it's kind of an approaching opposition to Pluto. So Pluto at 14 is power and responsibilities, and it's opposing, well, it's also the father symbol of zodiac, and Mars Sun is in Cancer, which is the mother symbol, so there's an opposition going on. If your parents are still around and together, they may be fighting. There is definitely some energy going on between say-so and wanting to have a say and wanting to do what mom wants with her sense of self and ego and also security, because Cancer is about getting security. They always feel exposed. Again, the symbology is the crab, so the soft exposed crab has to have the hard shell on the outside, and Pluto is the structure that provides that shell. So if the shell isn't as in the same position as it always has been, then Cancer gets a little iffy and a little skittish. And what happens is right now Pluto is the energy of change. It's the energy of creating value or discerning value. Is this something that is valuable? And you know, if you do that, then you may end up changing things, and that is not a comfortable position for Cancers. Cancers definitely want the security of things staying the same and being stable all the time, because they don't really have that innately in themselves. So they look to their external environment for it. And so it's a rather difficult time for Cancer and for Capricorn with Pluto there. So let me see, what time is it? 7 after. So I think I'm going to just kind of touch on some of this as we take calls, because I've told you a bunch of that. And then, of course, this week with all the energy, and then we have a full moon in Capricorn too. So, yeah, we've got the full moon in Capricorn, and then, of course, the moon's going to be, actually, this is the old chart I'm looking at. Moon was in Sag, but right now moon's in Capricorn. And so she's approaching Pluto. So Sun and Moon will be kind of course, opposing each other, but at the same time partnering with very aggressive energies. So the Moon partners with Pluto, which is willing to take everything out to prove a principle. And Sun is partnering with Mars, which will also be very willing to fight and be aggressive and assertive. So Mom is being assertive, and Dad is putting his foot down and saying, no, this is the way it's going to be. So it's not exactly flexible energy right now by any stretch. And that kind of brings us around to the degrees, which is the subject of this week's AstroEnergy show. So we are talking about degrees in the chart and how to read them. So I'm sorry, I'm going to take 1 second here to finish up sharing the link to the show, and then I will be 100% finished and up to date, and now I can go on with what I'm saying. So the degrees in a chart equal obviously 360 degrees because it's a circle, and each of those circles are divided up into the 12 houses. So therefore, each house has 30 degrees in it. And this is an equal house system. I'm just going by equal house. It's just easier to explain. So we have the 30 degrees of each house, the 12 different houses. Each one is a segment of our lives. And are there other segments? Possibly. Other things that are not touched on in astrology, but I have rarely come across anything that isn't somehow addressed in astrology. And by the same token, we keep finding new bodies in the heavens, new planets past Pluto, and new moons and new asteroids. So there's always more definition if you choose to research it. And so like last week's show, I was explaining a few concepts, and I'm just going to interject this because this is about teaching astrology and learning about astrology, and so I want you to understand some of this. So last week I touched on the MC and the IC, and I've known about this for 30 years, I know how to pronounce them. I know where they're at. But yet with energy of Neptune in my chart, having all my Virgo, I forget things. And I suddenly go, wait a minute, is that right? I don't know if you've had that in your life where you're like, is that how you spell that word? That doesn't look right. And yet, yes, that is how you spell the word, but it's just one of those moments where you just think, that's not right. So medium coli is the top point of a chart. It's the MC, and it means that it is the peak of the day, the noon position in a chart. So it is where the sun is at its highest and where we feel the heat of the sun, want the attention, the glow is upon us, and it is where the fame point is in a chart, because that's where we get the most attention and recognition, where the light is the strongest. The bottom part of the chart is the Imum Coli, IMUM-COLEI, and it is considered the lowest part of the skies in a chart. So that means that it is the cusp of the fourth house, or right between the third and the fourth house. So I wanted to give you that because I mentioned it last week and I wrote it down here on this page, and now I've covered it. So I'm a bit scattered, but I am organized in my scatteredness. I hope you recognize that. Anyway, okay, so we are back to 12 different houses, and each one being 30 degrees. So and I talk about the equal houses. You can use an equal house system where everything is 30 degrees. That isn't necessarily the degrees with which they are when you do different types of charts. So looking at the chart I did for the beginning of the show, the quote-unquote now chart, I did it about 20 minutes ago. So we had a 20-degree Scorpio rising. So 20 degrees is on the horizon, 4:39 Eastern Daylight Time in Orlando, Florida. And so that means that you've got that as a rising sun. It sets up the rest of the chart. And the horizon is on the 9 o'clock position, or dead center on the left side of a chart. And the rest of the houses are set up accordingly. On this chart, because I do a porphyry system, it's just the one that I've looked through, and I found different, I've studied different charts and what happened in people's lives, and came to the conclusion that this is the particular means or mode that I want to use in what I do, because I found it to be the most accurate to transits and what happens for people. So it's a personal choice. You can look at many different types of charts. It's just the one in particular that I like. And just so you know, I'll give you a few of them. Placidus, Koch, Equal House, Campanus, Meridian, Regiomontanus, Topocentric, Porphyry, Natural, Vedic, Equal, Morinus, Krasinski, Alacabatius, and Solar Sign. And, you know, some of those obviously I have never used. I don't use them, but I've used Koch for the beginning of it, and Placidus, but I really like Porphyry. So that's the one I use. And you spell that Porphyry. So anyway, okay, so in this chart, 22 degrees is on the cusp, Sagittarius, of the second house. Well, you think, wait a minute, it's not 20. It's actually 22 degrees. Or 32 degrees, because you go 20 to 20 and then add 2. So now we get into math. This is how I learned astrology when I first started, because there were no computer programs. So I did it all by hand. I looked up everything on an ephemeris. I did the ciphering, as Jethro Bodine likes to call it. I did all the ciphering myself and put the numbers all around and put in all the planets and all the numbers. And it was very tedious, and I'm glad it's done. But yeah. So it's 32 degrees. So you've got 32 degrees in that house. And then you go to the next house, and it's 24 degrees Capricorn, another 32 degrees. But then the bottom is 25 Aquarius. So now it's only 31 degrees. So depending on what type of system you use, or house system, that's how it changes. So it's a little confusing. I understand. But personally, it's something that I am not going to spend too much time worrying about. When you study with like NCGR and take tests, you get into the intense depth of all that. And honestly, astrology is a study that can go on, and you never get to understand everything because it's always changing. It's always being added to. There are a lot of basics, but in my practice, I look at how much information I need for what I do, and there's things that I never use but I understand, and there are things I don't understand that probably if I did, I could add them, but I can tell you my readings already are so thorough that it's kind of like, I could go on and on. I could get in even more detail with certain things that isn't what a client wants. So when I do this, I try honestly to give the information in a way that is understandable to my clients, and I'm even considering going more basic with my clients so that it doesn't get bogged down in all the astrological terminology, but it can give them the information they need, more like a psychic reading, because that really, a lot of times people just want that. They just like, I don't know astrology, and maybe they're not interested in learning about as much, but they understand it can be really profound. So I want to give people, the kind of reading that resonates with them. So anyway, so that's just a little insight into that. And then within each, let's say 30 degrees equal house, you have what's called a decanate or a decan. And that means, of course, that it's divided by 10, divided into 10 degree sections. So there are 3 in each chart, 3 in each house. And what they do is the first 10 degrees is the sign that rules that. So say it's the first house with the Scorpio rising. The first 10 degrees are Scorpio. The next 10 degrees are the next water energy, if it's a water sign. The next is the next water symbol around the chart, which would be Pisces in this case. And then the last one would be Cancer. So whichever sign is at the beginning, you just go to the very next one for the middle and the very last one for the last. And that's how it goes. So that means that if planets fall in those degrees, that's an added bit of information that you can glean more out of in a reading. So say you have, like right now, Pluto's at 14 degrees Capricorn. So it's in the sign of Capricorn, but it's in the house with Sagittarius on the horizon. So you would go, okay, Sagittarius, then divide it. It's got its degrees. You take the first 10 would be Sag, the next 10 would be Aries, and the last 10 would be Leo. So Pluto falls in the Aries segment of the chart. And so Aries is ruled by Mars. Look to Mars for a little bit more understanding. Well, today Mars, of course, is opposing Pluto within 10. It's actually a wide opposition that isn't technically an opposition yet. When it gets closer to, let's see, about 6 degrees, so a couple more degrees, it'll be in opposition. Within 8, I use 8, and that's another thing. See, it's all personal. There is kind of a common arc that people have used of 8 degrees on either side. When I started doing astrology, I learned 8 degrees on either side. As I've gone on, I've narrowed that arc, and I've also altered it because I study horary astrology, and horary astrology is the study of asking a question, and the moment of the question becomes the chart for the question or the birth of the question, which includes the answer. So at that moment, you're really looking at a different type of astrology. It's more what is approaching and what is the meaning of specific planets in their approach, and what is a yes answer, what is a no answer. It's just a little bit different type than a general reading astrology. So horary is spelled Horary. If you're looking into it, you want to find out more about it. And so that type, I've kind of brought in a few of the ideas of that type of astrology into what I do. First and foremost is probably that I look more to the applying aspects, ones that are approaching, and not as much ones that are separating, because if they are not going to retrograde and go back over the point, they are pretty much done. And so the planet moves on. There may be the shadow period or a gradient as it's moving away. There's kind of like, okay, whoosh, now it's going away. It may pull some energy with it, but it's actually in our lives, it's done and moving on. Like right now, as an example, Mars conjunct Sun. They're within 5 degrees. The Sun already went over Mars. There was a very strong forward motion based on nurturing, based on ego, based on family, and that was right around the time that we heard the ruling from the Supreme Court on gay marriage or, equal marriage. So that energy happened, and now we're in the aftermath, and that's kind of the energy you feel when a planet moves beyond Mars, when Sun moves past Mars. And again, the way I know, obviously, it's for us, what moves quicker? Of course, the Sun is stationary, but from Earth, you see it going past us. So it's already moved on. Mars isn't quite as fast, so he's still going forward, but he's already said goodbye to the Sun. So I don't necessarily, I'll look at it in the reading and say, oh yeah, Sun and Mars are there, so you're feeling the energies, but it's not like, oh, Sun's approaching Mars, you're going to have a clash. It's more like, oh, there was a clash last week, and now you're moving on, and the egos are dying down unless there's another aspect that comes in. So, wow, I think I went beyond what I had planned on doing with this, but that's okay because that way you understand a little bit more. And I have even more I wrote down, but I can't get to it today. It's more about, what we call different derivations of groupings of the planets, but I don't want to do all of that the rest of today. I'm going to take calls while I have time, and I told you last week I would try and move it along more with that. So let's take our first caller, 951. How are you?
Great. Hi, it's Nathaniel.
Hey, it's Nathaniel. How you doing, Nathaniel?
Pretty good.
Awesomeness. So what can I do for you today? Are you staying cool?
Well, yeah, it's pretty hot out here. It's it's actually cooler today, but it's humid. So
yeah.
It's thunderstorms out here now.
Oh, where are you, on the West Coast?
Yeah, I'm in Barstow, California.
Oh my, Barstow.
Miles. Yeah, so I'm in the high desert.
That's kind of, is that up north or is that down south? Because I'm thinking it's up north by Sacramento.
No. That's between Long Beach and Las Vegas.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, so it is desert. Oh my.
I'm about 100. Yeah. So it's the high desert. It's really hot out here, but it's kind of cooler, but it's really muggy.
Oh, yeah, that mugginess, that's what I live with every summer, but I'm having a pretty good summer. It's had a few bits of rain, but it's actually fairly comfortable, even though it's in the low 90s, because there hasn't been as much constant humidity and rain as in the past. So it's livable.
Well, I'm kind of concerned with my finances a little bit. I've had a car problem up here. It was so hot, I blew my transmission, so I'm taking the bus now.
Oh, I don't want to tell you what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to buy a new car.
Oh, well, that's good.
Mercury's coming up on, which is transportation, in Gemini, transportation. And again, remember at the beginning of the show I said Mercury had been opposite the moon, and then now your Mercury transit's coming up on your Mars. Mars is buying, and it's at the last 2 degrees of Gemini, and it's right on the cusp of your house of possessions and money. So that tells me there's probably something that's going to come about where you buy a new vehicle. And you've also got Mars in the house of money and possessions. So Cancer is where Mars is at right now. So, it's about family. And, I know you're looking for what's going to happen with that. This is so difficult for me to tell people, but you have Saturn retrograde, and of course everybody has Saturn retrograde, but wherever it falls in your chart is where those last 3 months of dealing with the emotional issues and kind of the fear, some of the psychological issues that we've had, the water signs really bring up those fears. Okay, so you have the fear, but you have Mars in your house of money, which means you can make money. But I would suggest you do it around some kind of domestic endeavor. So either, and Mars also rules selling things. So I would say if it's really a crunch time, maybe you could look around and see what is sellable. That would be kind of my initial reaction is, like I have a refrigerator sitting in my garage. I would go sell the refrigerator. It's a domestic thing. Do you have?
Do you think I might? Do you think I might sell my old car? I might try to get a loan for it and then just give it back to the people. I don't know if that's fraudulent. I mean, if they give me $3,000 for it, I could.
Well, there are places they'll give you push, pull, or drag your car in, and you get X amount of dollars. I think, to me, that's just a way to get your business, and they pretty much will sell it for parts or use it for parts or, donate it or, whatever it is they do with it, but they get you in the door. Because, we think, well, why would they do that if it's not worth anything? And obviously if you push, pull, or drag your car in, it may not be worth anything, but yet they take it. So I think it's just a ploy to get you in. But, they're out there. So if you can find one that's reputable, you might want to try that.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you thought of that? I mean, have you heard of that out there?
Well, I know there's a loan place, and I'm not sure if they care what your car is because they give you, whatever. They said they'd give me $3,000 a couple months ago, and I didn't take it. And I really should have. I don't know how well my car's going to be running, with the transmission now.
Gosh, I wish you'd have asked me about that. If you were kind of because I could have brought up some stuff. I don't know if was that during the Mercury retrograde? Do you remember?
It was about. It'll be
Before
2 weeks ago. It'll be 2 weeks ago Friday.
Oh, okay. It was after the Mercury retrograde. It's actually the third pass Mercury had over that point. So, yeah, that's what happened there. I wouldn't bemoan it at all. I think that it's going to be okay. But again, where Capricorn and Cancer fall in your chart is the money axis. So personal finances and joint finances. And that just means that again, Mars will be approaching Pluto in the house of joint finances, and that would be also contracts, which would relate to cars. So it would not surprise me at all if that you're looking to buy a new one instead of repair one or whatever. And I don't know that I would put more money into it, honestly.
They're wanting either between. Somebody said they want $3,300 before, but they thought that was low, and then they wanted $7,500 for it, and I know that's really high. But I may
definitely,
just try to
get some opinions on how much it is. But Mercury goes into Cancer on the 9th, and coming up next week, obviously we have the 4th of July weekend, and then after that, if you look, I wouldn't get rid of it. Well, let me think. See, this is the numbers part that you have. It's like a roll of the dice. If you get rid of it, say on the Wednesday where Mercury's at 29 degrees, it's like a done deal. Or even 28 with Mars, that probably, I'm guessing, is when you're going to want to really get rid of it, when Mercury's at 28, which is Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, because that's when Mercury hits your Mars. And it's like you're feeling the drive to do it. And if you do it, it's also kind of like a fait accompli, like you've done it at late degrees. There are no other aspects to Mercury then to make it not be what it is. And like when you do, this is what I want to mention, it's like when you do something in the last degrees of a sign, if there are no other aspects going on because it's the last degrees, there's not enough room for another aspect before it changes signs, then that's it. It's done. So that might be what you're aiming for. Like you don't want to go back and forth. You don't want it to be a questionable sale or purchase. You just want it to be what it is. And so if you aim for Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, that's what you're going to get because Mercury will be approaching your Mars. You might even aim for the 20 when it's at 29, which is after your Mars, which passes the transit, passes that connection,
Would that be like Thursday or?
Yeah, and at the same time, you've got Venus coming into the end degrees. Oh,
See, this is the little thing about astrology. Venus is at the last degrees of Leo. Where's Leo in your chart? Okay, so it's going to be in the house that Cancer rules, and Cancer is what I'm looking to for all this energy. So Venus is going to retrograde. So as much as you may not want to get a different, like to have issues, Venus rules possessions. When she retrogrades, which is the 25th, she gets into Virgo, then she retrogrades back into Leo. And so, let's see, Leo will be outcomes from money and possessions. So there might be something that comes up with it after she retrogrades again. So I'm just giving you a heads up. I mean, I'm not the one who decides. I'm just the one who reads it. But like the beginning of August, there may be another issue coming up. If it's not with your car, it could be something else, some other possession that you have. Okay?
So I should probably sell my car, obviously, before I buy another one. So if I sell this, like, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, I should wait maybe another month to buy, or a week, or a couple of weeks?
That's the thing. With Venus retrograding, I mean, if you wait to buy a vehicle, if you're capable of waiting to buy a vehicle, I would wait till after Venus goes direct and preferably clears the shadow that she has, which would be Venus retrogrades at 0 degrees Virgo. So she needs to get to the 10th of October. It's a long time. That's a long time to wait till she clears the shadow, October 10th. So, I mean, it kind of is up to you whether or not you want to do that, but she retrogrades on the 25th of July. So she's already in the pre-shadow. She was in the pre-shadow when she passed 14 degrees, which was June 21st. So you're already going to feel like whatever happened between June 21st and now, you're going to have to go over again. If it's money and possessions, you'll have to probably, go back and forth and do over. And it's also life-changing according to where your Pluto is. It deals with truth and integrity and ego. So that's part of the lesson. And I think the car is probably handing you karma. I think it happened to show you something. This is something you need to learn. So sorry, but yeah, I would say because Mercury does rule transportation, when Mercury, and it's all up to you what you do. Like if you sell the car now when Mercury is, in the free and clear from the Mercury shadow when it was retrograde, you are going to have another connection when Mercury hits Mars. And if you already own another vehicle, chances are you're going to have issues with that one too. So I personally would wait until Mercury gets to Cancer and then do something there. And
October 10th.
No, Mercury, not Venus. Mercury is your car. Venus rules possessions. Mercury rules transportation. And Mercury will be going into your house of possessions when it goes into Cancer. But
what date?
Okay, yeah. Mercury goes into Cancer on the 8th. Let me look. Yeah, the 8th. I would not do anything 8th or 9th because that's when the transition hits Mercury into Cancer. I don't have my ephemeris with my precise dates. I just have like a chart between the 8th and 9th. So if you wait till the 9th, you'll be fine.
So that's July.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll sell Tuesday and then I'll wait till after the 9th?
Yeah.
Or about the 9th?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks
Mercury's
a lot.
flying in the next week. Mercury's like a couple degrees a day. Okay?
All right. Well, thanks, Shelley.
Well, I wish you the best. I'm sorry you had to go through that, and I hope you find a lovely vehicle. And if you wait till Mercury goes into Cancer, you'll probably find one that seems very cozy to you. And remember, Cancer is the sign of the crab, so it's kind of like you want to wrap yourself in protection with your vehicle when you get it with Mercury in Cancer. Okay?
All right, well, thanks.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Good talking to you.
You too. Bye.
And happy 4th.
Oh, you too. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so let's just take a quickie break, and then we'll be back right after this. In these days of stress, running around, responsibilities, we all need a little place to go to make it all better. Is that place sports, football, or maybe you like to garden, paint, or just listen to music? Wherever your happy place is, you can find a shirt or mug to reflect that happy place. At myhappyplace.rocks, we have a variety of lifestyle products, including iPhone cases, pajamas, and pet items, all with beautiful, colorful designs, which help us go to our happy place. Stop by on the web for great gift ideas for others and yourself. myhappyplace.rocks. Lenny Pickett appears courtesy of Random Act Records. Check them out at randomactrecords.com. All right, welcome back. You are listening to the AstroEnergy Show on Blog Talk Radio, and my name is Shelley Overton. It is good to have you here. We are coming up on the 4th of July weekend, and I am excited to say I'm going on vacation, and I'm going to visit my sister. So I'm really, really happy to do that, and I will tell you where it is when I get back, just to save some excitement and suspense and mystery for you. So let's see who else we have. Let's see, it's coming. 971, how are you?
Hello, Shelley?
Hi. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
That's so great I got through. This is
Yay.
Katie. I've never called in before.
Katie,
New
great.
person.
Very cool. Nice to meet you. Are you there?
Nice to meet you as well. Yeah, sorry. My birth info.
What can I do for you? That's okay.
Birth date is 4/4/1977.
Okay.
And location is Portland, Oregon.
Okay. What time?
And 7:38 a.m.
Okay. And you said Portland, so I'll just put that in.
Yes.
And let's see. You had a big week too, I think, didn't you? In Portland? I don't know if you're there.
Actually, I'm in Oakland.
Oregon.
So I'm not in
okay.
Portland right now.
No,
but yeah,
okay.
it was really hot.
Oregon. Wow. Well, what can I do for you?
Well, I kind of wanted to see what you have to say about my chart. I study astrology a little bit, but I feel like it's always hard to kind of see what's going on with myself, you know?
Yeah, it always is. Okay, let's see if I can give you a succinct overview. You've got your Saturn just moved into your house of marriage and partnership. So, but it just went retrograde, of course, and it's 1 degree off of the cusp. So it's going back into work. And so if you've been having some work issues, again, water energy, emotional, and psychological. So this is about value in the workplace for you, okay? And then you've also got Neptune up in your house of career, and Neptune is within 2 degrees of moving into the 11th house, which is money from career, connection to people who are of like mind in a career and or same life path, similar life path, you know, people that you relate to. And so Neptune is really starting to feel like, this is interesting, Neptune is pretty watery and emotional and takes on the energy of wherever it's at. So there's probably some of that element for you at work. And you also have Mars at 12 degrees Pisces. So you are extremely empathic. You take on other people's emotions, and hopefully you're grounding and you know that you're doing it and can, you know, combat it a little bit. But if you don't, then you may be feeling like what other people are doing is really yours, and somehow like the negative side of that would be you're taking on too much responsibility for what isn't your responsibility. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so Neptune hasn't gone into that house yet, but it is probably within the next year because Neptune's so slow moving. It'll probably get to 11 degrees in retrograde, back to 10, and then back to 11. It'll be like a process of about 3 years just to get over that cusp. And So what's happening is you are learning that you have an intuitive side with your career, and you need to pay attention to it, because Mars, if you want the money, the intuition has to be recognized, because Mars, money from careers in Pisces, they tend to generally let it come to them. I mean, Mars in Pisces is like, yeah, it's okay, especially in the house of money from career, you may not. You've got a couple different things going on with it. Venus is in Aries, Sun is in Aries, which is the salesperson. So you do have a certain amount of Martian drive. But the problem is that when Mars is in Pisces and your Sun and Venus are in Aries, you have ideas about how to take action, but you may never feel like you're quite capable of doing it. So what is going on with Neptune is that you need to recognize that Piscean nature, and that is, you are empathic. You can pick up a lot of information other people may not see. And you have Uranus and Scorpio as well, which is a really intense place for like channeling information and clear understanding, and that's in your house of work. So you're like a powerhouse when it comes to intuiting how people are in the work environment. And you're also passionate about, I would say, about people's rights, Moon in Libra and Uranus and Scorpio in your house of work. Like, it matters to you that people, there's justice, okay? I mean, like, I say this, but probably more when you see Scorpio, especially Uranus and Scorpio, it's like, this is kind of a humanitarian energy, and it's in Scorpio, which is very intense and very passionate. So, anyway, I mean, I could go on and on. What is there one thing you want me to look at?
Well, I guess since you were talking about work, I work for myself right now, and I make jewelry out of using butterfly wings and snake and feathers and glass and metal. Yeah, and it kind of gets my Aquarian MC, like, it looks different to people, and people think I'm unique and stuff. It's awesome. But I am thinking about opening a storefront in the next year or so, and incorporating some astrology and I have a background in the tea industry, so I've worked a lot with herbs and spices.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, and then also I think all of my like sixth house energy, I've had a lot of like little health crises over the years. So I've learned a lot in the naturopathic world and massage and acupuncture and stuff. So I kind of want to, in the channeling thing, it's like, how do I bring all that together as a way to kind of appease my Mars and Pisces and help people?
Yeah.
But I guess,
it's coming.
I don't know, maybe like timing or something, or...
I'm sorry, what was that last thing?
Like maybe timing, what's kind of
Well, timing is part of it, but I'm looking at where Saturn is now, and Saturn's telling you to get with a partner. So do you have anybody else who might have similar interests that you could share the costs with?
Yeah, I have another jeweler who also does some other craft things. I haven't actually found like body workers yet, or people like that. Kind of.
Right.
But yeah, the plan is to kind of loop in at least two other people that would rent space from me to kind of offset it and be involved in it.
Well, that sounds to me like a plan. So Neptune isn't going to get out of Pisces anytime soon. So he's in your career house, and he's going into money from career. So definitely if you have something that relates to intuitive arts, you're on the right track. And he's waking your Mars up to take action on dreams, okay? Your Neptune is in Sagittarius in partnership, and Sagittarius is going somewhere else. So honestly, what I would recommend, as much as I do very much wholeheartedly support a bricks and mortar business, I am telling you that in the next year and a half, Saturn will be on your Neptune, and there's a very strong possibility you'll be moving. And it could relate to love, okay? I don't know if you're in a relationship now, but Neptune is your desires on steroids. So it's kind of like you're going to really want to move closer to somebody or be with someone, and they're not going to be in the same area, because Saturn goes into Sag, and Sag wants to travel and be free. And that's the other probably problem with a partner. Even though Saturn is about ownership, and responsibility to a partner because it's in your partnership house, it wants to also move. It wants to travel. It wants to be free to go places. So if you can do it and be a partner who can come and go, and you have Jupiter and Gemini just over the cusp of the first house, I would say yes, you have a lot of energy in your chart saying I want to do something, like Uranus going in your 12th in Aries, coming up on Mercury in Taurus. That wants the bricks and mortar. That wants to sell and have a business, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But your Jupiter in Gemini wants to be free to take off at will. And so if you can find a way to combine the two, and I can tell you Saturn in your natal chart is in the house of home and family in Leo. Saturn going through is going into Sag, trining that. I'm guessing now, I don't know, do you have a family? Do you have kids or a husband or anything?
No, I have a boyfriend, partner of 6.5 years, but we don't have kids.
Okay, well, something's going to happen. Either it's going to shift and change, and you're going to move and travel and possibly find someone that you want better, or he's going to want you to settle down, and you're going to have to decide to do that because trine Saturn in your house of home and family, Jupiter just went over that. I'm kind of amazed that you didn't end up having kids when Jupiter hit your Saturn, but
when was that?
Venus too, when it was at 9 degrees. Let me see when that was.
Oh, just like
recently,
late last year or something?
Earlier this year. Oh, no, wait a minute. That's because Jupiter retrograded. Yeah, hang on a second. You're right. Late last year. It was
well, I've kind of come
July,
to
a year ago.
In the last, okay.
What was that?
I've decided in the last year to not have kids. Like I've kind of it's interesting you say that because it kind of brought me to like, you know what? I just yeah.
Well, it's Saturn. Saturn is restriction and it's retrograde. So, I mean, that's an unusual choice a lot of times, but for you, it makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's expanding whatever. Whatever energy it crossed over. Jupiter expands whatever it touches in your natal chart. Touch Saturn. Saturn is responsibility, ownership, and it's in the sign of children. So when Jupiter hit that, it was actually August. I looked it up. It was probably like, do I want them? Do I not? And then you decided, and that was the ownership of that particular issue. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when Saturn gets back into marriage and partnership, that could change, but maybe not, because Saturn is going to be like, so what I'm saying is like, I think that there's a possibility of being in an ideal romance, and if you don't have it, it could bring it out, or if it isn't your ideal romance, it's going to change it. And if it changes it and you find someone that is like, I can't believe this person I met, you might change your mind about children. But that's only a possibility, okay? Because Saturn and Leo in the house of children, family, also pretty sure of itself, okay? So it'll be interesting to see what kind of little tug of war might go on, but I definitely think there are some changes on the horizon around partnerships. And Mars is going to be going into Leo, and Mercury's going into Cancer around home. So I'm thinking that one of the possibilities you could do is buy a place and buy it with the ability to create a commercial business in it, and then you can make that into your retail shop. And if you want to go away, you have others who can open it and close it and be part of the ownership that way. That might be a good alternative for what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, and I would definitely hire at least one and a partial person to work it on a daily basis and only be in there about 3 days a week. Have a studio in the back where me and my assistant make the jewelry. So
that sounds like a perfect world to me.
Yeah, I know, right?
I would love to do that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to go into it thinking, like putting myself in a position that I would be tied down, 7 days a week or something to be like dealing with customers all the time. But, so kind of building in some flexibility. That looks good for me, hopefully.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's definitely got to be some flexibility. You've got some changes coming up that are really going to shift what's going on. I mean, I definitely see Jupiter hitting the cusp on the end when it gets into Virgo by the end of the year, and Jupiter across your cusp, the latter cusp of your home and family, usually means a move. And Saturn will be going in a year across your Neptune also at the end degrees of marriage and partnership and commitment. So you'll have, like, is this the ideal situation for commitment? Those are all in your future in the next year. Okay? So if you want a bigger reading, just give me a call. I'd love to do it.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love your show.
My pleasure.
You are very, very talented. Yeah.
Oh, you're very sweet. Thank you. Have a wonderful 4th.
Take care.
And a safe one. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, let's see. We got 480. Hi, 480. How are you?
I'm well. How are you? Thank you for taking my calls. My name is Yvette. It's my first time calling.
My pleasure. Awesome. Okay, let me just get your information real quick. I can't even speak. And then we can do the reading. Okay. And what is your birthday?
10/26/73.
Okay. So you're right there with Saturn on your sun coming up. Okay, and you already experienced it a bit this year too. What time were you born?
7:21 in the morning.
Okay. Oh, I apologize. October 26th, not November 26th. That's my fault. That's not true.
Yeah.
What time did you say?
7:21 a.m.
7:21 a.m. And where?
California, Southern.
What? Do you have a city?
Yeah, Baldwin Park.
Baldwin Park. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see what we've got for you. Okay. 2. So do you have a particular question that you'd like to know about?
I would like to know about career. I'm kind of just I'm at a cross point of everything. I'm kind of just cut everything off. I had a store and those types of things, and I shut it down and just kind of took a sabbatical the last month, and now I'm just kind of trying to figure out. I'm starting all over, relationship-wise, everything, business-wise, all of that. I would like to know more about career, but whatever you pick up, whatever's more relevant to you, you let me know.
Wow. Well, you've got a lot of stuff going on in your chart, and you're another one that I could talk to for a while. Suffice it to say, you have connections to Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Libra, and Sagittarius. And your midheaven is Jupiter in your house of, right now, transiting your career house. Okay, you have Saturn on the midheaven within 6 degrees. That means that part of your life purpose is to be in the spotlight.
Wow.
Does that make sense to you? And Jupiter and Venus right there are wanting it so bad right now for you.
Wow. So, okay.
Yeah. And, of course, Leo is... Go ahead.
No, I was saying that's actually why I closed down my shop. Like, the Food Network kind of wants me to be like a Paula Deen replacement. And
awesome.
So, yeah, wow,
I would say heck to the yes. So, yeah, are you going to have to move to do that, or are you good where you're at?
Right now I'm good where I'm at because we're doing it out of my home, but it's all very beginning stages, and I just had to take the time to decide this is what I really wanted to do, but here I am, so.
Yeah, well, Venus conjunct Jupiter, like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't know if you heard, there's this trine in fire energy, or it was earlier this week, a couple days ago, and Jupiter's conjuncting Venus, just finished it. They're both still at 21 in your house of career. So Venus is desire, femininity in Leo, which is you have the presence, you have tension, and Jupiter is expanding whatever the energy is. Saturn is your career, your life purpose. It's up there in the spotlight, really. And it's going direct. You don't have it retrograde, so it's kind of like full steam ahead, I would think. And then Saturn, the only wiggle with everything is Saturn is retrograde right now in your first house, wondering about, oh, do I deserve this? Am I good enough? Can I handle this? All those doubts. Stop it. Stop it right now. You're going to be great. Not only that, Mars right now is at the end degrees of commitment, and it's in Cancer around the home. It's going into Leo, and I think I said I wish I could remember so I don't have to look it up. Within the month, it's going into Leo. And so it's going to be transiting your Saturn. You're going to be seeing over the next couple months that action is taken. You know, there's a learning curve while Saturn's in Cancer. Not Saturn, Mars. Well, Mars is going into Cancer. So let me just see when it hits Leo for you. So it's August 9th, okay? And from August 9th through like the 24th of September, just keep September in mind. It's a huge time because that's when Saturn gets back into Sagittarius. It's when Jupiter goes into Virgo. And at that point, Saturn's going to trigger your house of money on your Venus, on your Neptune, which is your ideal income, your dream, and there's going to be travel. And I'm also going to tell you this. I can't even say it right. I'm wondering if you're not going to be offered something that might be more related to traveling with food and not stationary. Because Venus, Neptune, and Sag in the house ruled by Taurus is food, but it's travel. So, you know, you would be probably more in line with Anthony Bordello or whatever his name is, like that. That, I think, mark my words, something is coming. You've got Jupiter and Taurus, which is food, but Jupiter rules travel as well. So,
actually, part of what we're doing now to build my brand is they have me going from city to city doing dinner parties.
Okay.
So that's actually part of our plan to launch for right around the same time. So
okay,
wow,
well, I'll just tell you, I have my ex-husband has Sagittarius Saturn, and I call him the cruise director, and that's the energy of Sagittarius. They are the cruise director. It's like got to go out, have fun, party, everybody have a good time. So, you know, something like that is going to be connected to this. And you've got a lot of positive energy in your chart. I mean, you've got a ton of Scorpio, Uranus, Mars. You have Uranus 2 degrees off your rising sign. That's like you are channeling information, and you have to start to trust it. That I'm like, you can tell when something's good and when it's not. Trust it. You have Mars in Scorpio. You are clear seeing. You know what's right. Just trust your intuition. And you know, Saturn and Leo at your midheaven, you've got to be allowed to show that side of your nature. You know, you've got a lot of good support with Sagittarius in your chart, because Sagittarius is kind of a spotlight energy. It's a fire sign. It wants to go and you know, it's not that they seek out spotlight, but they definitely have the entertainment bug. And then Saturn at the midheaven, it's like part of your life purpose is to be in the spotlight. And Jupiter expands that in Leo. Right now is the most fortunate time. Like, I'm not surprised you're telling me that this is an amazing opportunity. Grab it by the reins and run with it. And call me back after you get it. I can say I know a celebrity.
I'll make you my personal astrologer.
Yes, please.
Yes.
We'll do food around the zodiac or something like that.
Exactly.
So, cool. Awesome. I'm excited for it. So,
well, awesome. I appreciate it so much. I've never had anybody really read my chart, so that's I heard you loud a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I need to call her back, and I got through. So I'm excited.
Well, definitely. If you want a full reading, let me know, because I really can get even deeper into you know, issues and influences in your life and what other things. There's just so much I see in your chart and so much that's going on right now. So if you want to, I'm at astrologerangel.com. Okay.
Thank you so much. I will definitely do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. It's good talking to you. Nice to meet you. Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right. I know I've tried to get to more callers today and pass through, but the show is over and 4th of July awaits. So I really hope that you all have a lovely holiday, and I am going to not have a show next week because I won't be able to, and yet I am going to be back the week after, and we're going to talk about more fun stuff. So please do fan me on my fan page. Check out YouTube, because I'm posting videos as well of the shows, and I'm going to be working on the Beginner's Astrology course that you can get online. So please keep in touch and have a lovely 4th of July and a safe one. And that's all for this week. Bye.
Thanks for stopping by AstroEnergy this week. If you would like to get a hold of Shelley Overton, you can get her at astrologerangel.com, on Facebook at AstroEnergy or Astrologer Angel. The music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com with additional music by Ironwood Rain. Check them out on the net at ironwoodrain.com.